Dear sisters, my husband eloped with another lady, leaving me with 3 children. Our last child was barely a year old. Things became very challenging for us. The burden of taking care of the 3 children and the stigma in our neighborhood, as well as among church members, were unbearable. Everyone knew me in church as the woman whose husband left her for another woman. I worked hard against all odds to make something meaningful out of my life and that of my children. Sisters, my husband returned after 10 years as a pauper with nothing. Honestly, I initially was very angry and not willing to take him back. But I was convinced by friends, family, and my church that I was lucky to have him back, and rather, it should be viewed as a miracle, an answer to my prayer. I must confess that I truly loved my husband and I quickly forgave him after he said he was sorry. As the saying goes, to err is human and to forgive is divine. Even our children were very upset with me for taking him back so easily. The church, including the pastor, said it was the handiwork of my enemy, and it was right I took him back. AJ, it's been 2 years since my husband returned, but all he does is find ways of spending my hard-earned money. He insisted that he wants to help with my business rather than be a house husband. But I'm suspecting him of rather stealing my funds in the business. However, I have no evidence to that effect. Every time I try to tell him I'm worried about his spending habits and how he's helping me in my business, he gets very defensive and it turns into a huge argument and I have to go and beg him for us to move past it. He claims he's looking for new opportunities to expand the business and make it better. So that's why he's doing certain investments to that effect. I told my friend about it and she thinks I'm being paranoid and looking out for the worst in him after what he put me through. My pastor thinks I should pray about it as well. However, my spirit tells me he's capable of doing so much worse and maybe even taking everything or something of that sort. Am I being paranoid and assuming the worst of him? Could he just be trying to help me out? Should I confront him again or should I just end the relationship at all? I must admit I love having a man at home. I enjoy being loved and pampered, which he does always. But I can't seem to shake off the earlier betrayal and feel like it's tainting how I see him and what he's truly capable of. Should I cut him off and simply count my losses or persevere a bit longer? I need help because I feel like I'm going crazy. Ladies, sisters, I think we see this quite a lot. Well, we've heard stories about it in some way or the other where the man is able to sort of abdicate his role, go in for a long time, come back, and somehow the women are always expected to take back the man and just sort of continue as if he didn't spend years away from the home, from the wife, or barely even contributing to any part of the life that they created. Now she feels that he's capable of taking it all, and all in the wrong reasons. Now, what are your views on this particular scenario? I'll start with you, Marie Rose.
Well, there are so many things I'm looking at here because he was away for 10 years.
Yes.
The good thing about it is that for now is the fact that she did not proceed to break up because I know legally when you leave your marriage for some years, which I'm not too sure now.
I think it's 2.
You're sure about that? There are some years because it's a technical thing. I don't want to. I know they have a certain number of years that when you abdicate or you leave home for those number of years, the other party
can for an annulment.
Yes, yes, for the annulment of the marriage. But she did not, and he came back, and now she's accepted him.
Yeah. So
it means that the marriage is still on.
Yes.
And the other question that you ask, is it a civil marriage or is it a traditional marriage? If it's a civil marriage, then it means the marriage is really, really on. Even if it's traditional and she hasn't taken the drinks to the family, the marriage is still intact. As long as you haven't performed those things, the marriage is still intact. So he is still her husband.
Right.
The other part you also look at is the fact that the investment the guy is doing. I'm asking myself, why doesn't she know where the investment is going to?
No, clearly she doesn't. She doesn't. She feels that he's siphoning money out of the business.
But the guy says that he's doing investment for her. or
But
for.
she's not asked him to.
But she has to find out.
Whenever
Because
she
if
does,
you're
it
doing
becomes an
investment, it
argument.
should be with some financial institution.
Exactly.
And you should have some statement or something. So I think she has to inquire. But taking it from the beginning, with all that in place, now they are back together. So the marriage is on. They have 3 children. The marriage is on. Yes, she might be suffering from some paranoia because of the trauma she's going through. She has had an experience, and so now she has some kind of mistrust for her husband. And for that cost that he gave her, that he could leave the marriage with another woman for that long, you know, it would take a long time, or it would take some kind of professional therapy to undo, because she has psyched herself. And the memory, our brains, the way our brains work, it's amazing. That's the reason why sometimes some people can shut their brains. I think somebody was just saying that I'm a selective listener. I can decide to listen to you or not, even if I'm sitting with you.
Yeah.
That's how the brain works. You can program the brain so much. So she had to program her brain whilst the husband was away to prevent trauma and all that. And so now he's back, and the brain is still in that mode, as if he's not there, even though he's there. So the brain is working in that mode, and that is what is giving her all these kind of causes to think that maybe what if he does it again? How can I trust him? Maybe this time around he'll even take all my money and go with another woman and all that.
But
so,
if he's already started showing signs of mistrust, where whenever she raises a topic about what are you doing with my money, then he gets very defensive. Where is the money going to? Then he starts acting up and saying, I'm putting it in an investment. And she sometimes your spirits cannot be wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes your gut feeling tells you what exactly is
what's
going on. But you will hope that you would want some physical evidence to that effect.
Exactly.
But now coming to the point where it's likely that he may be stealing her money. He did come back with nothing. So that means he went to go and gallivant and then spend it all. And after 10 years, came back to the only one who's capable of putting him back in the standard of living that he was used to, which is this woman.
So in that case, I would say that if she's not sure how he is using her money, now we are in technological era. If you are not in the shop all the time, you can set up cameras and you can see him every minute on your phone. There are cameras there. So if she can't find, if the guy can't tell him that I'm investing with this institution or that institution, or give her some solid evidence to prove that he is indeed investing, then she should put cameras there to be able to see what happens when he's there and she is not there. That would be a good thing for her, because if you're in business and you are not there all the time, people pilfer.
Yes.
I mean, not only your husband, even workers, they pilfer all the time. So that's one sure way to ensure that nobody takes your money. Yeah. But secondly, because he is the only man, I don't know whether he's working with others, but if he's the only person managing the business, and then what if he sells something and he's taking the money to go and pay? How can she ascertain that he took 10,000 and he paid in 7,000 and then pocketed the 3,000? So she has to make, I don't know what she does, that she's not able to be at the business
Some checks
place.
and balances have to be put in place.
Yeah, so she has to reorganize herself and put herself in a place where she can be in charge of the money. If she's closer to the business, I think it's right that she goes there quite often, and when she goes, whatever that has been sold, I learned from a friend, so whatever that's been sold, she goes to take it. Because when you leave the money to be there throughout the day, they think you've got a lot of money. They don't know that
you have investments to make or payments to make on the money.
So you pass by from time to time. When you go, whatever that's been, you just take, do reconciliation and then take the money away. Then you come again and take the money away. That will stop him from taking the money. So those are some of the things that I think she can do to keep her sanity and be sure.
Okay.
Because she also said that she likes the pampering that she receives from the guy.
Anyone can pamper you.
I know, right?
But let me come to on this one. You don't need your husband. You can get a boyfriend to pamper you, but that's by the point.
That is an adultery, because she's a married woman.
But he left first now.
Went.
This one,
she goes to church. She goes to church, and she's been talking about pasta and all that. Yeah.
But let me come to Olivia on your thoughts.
Honestly, I beg to differ with Mary Rose.
Please go ahead.
Why am I busy investing my money in cameras and other equipment just to check up on my husband? Why can't I just have a normal civil conversation with him about money that I worked so hard for?
That he has no contribution.
No contribution to whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's my money. I've agreed to let bygones be bygones. I've welcomed you back into a marriage full of heartbreak. And I have been the forgiven one. I have been the adult in this marriage. I have decided to let bygones be bygones, like I said, and brought you back into this marriage. If anything at all, I'm sorry, but you should be kissing the floor on which I walk.
Precious.
So, like, my guy, I have every right on this planet to ask you what you're doing with my money. But in this case, I'm not even calling it my money, but our money. So the least you can do is to grow up and stop your shenanigans and give me some logical explanation as to what you're using my money for.
Appreciate.
So if I can't have that conversation with you, what are you doing managing my business to start with? Can I trust you enough? I couldn't trust you with regards to our marriage bed, let alone finances that's going to help my children, help my future when I retire. Am I supposed to trust your words? And then what happens when I'm 60 years and I want to be spending like my $1 million or $2 million? I want to retire well. I want to have a befitting burial. I have an idea, a plan for my future. And if he's decided not to have that, money is huge in every relationship, especially in marriage. So if he can't bring himself to have that conversation with me, it's a big problem.
Okay.
I will not think twice about going to get cameras like Mary Rose is saying. And for me, I feel like singles, right? Singles, whether they are in a relationship, broke up, or whether they're not married, whether they were married and now are divorced, don't maximize their single season. You know, we're quick to run to church. I'm a church girl. I love God. I pray. And I'm always talking about God on this show. But sometimes God also has given us the wisdom. Okay, he's giving us, the Bible says, whoever wants wisdom, ask for wisdom and God will give it to you. In a situation like this, once bitten, twice shy. Yeah. You know, in a situation like this, not everybody in church is level-headed enough to give you the advice that you need. And I was talking about maximizing your single season as singles. You've been married, you're divorced. Now, what do you do with your life? And like, to be honest, you've done a fantastic job. You know, it's not easy to forgive, but one, you've forgiven. You've taken advantage of your situation. You've done well for yourself. You're well to do. You don't need anybody. But I'm not going to go on that conversation about, oh, I'm a woman, I don't need anybody, but because I don't believe in that. Every woman needs a man in their life, a man who has the vision, a man who is God-fearing, a man who can cover his family, his wife spiritually. Every woman needs a man. If not so, God wouldn't have created Adam and Eve. Anyways, that's by the by. But you need to ask yourself pertinent questions like, the person that you're going to be with, or your husband who now wants to come into your life, are they saved? Do they love Jesus enough, and do they love God enough to want to treat you as God would treat the church, or as God deems fit of a man in a marriage? Are they there yet? Are they sweet to you? Are they sympathetic towards you? Are they smart? You know, and are they serious about you? You know, you need to tick all of those boxes and ask yourself these questions. And if the person you're looking to welcome back into your space, into your life, ticks those boxes, then by all means, you have something to consider. But going back to the questions I was talking about, this guy clearly, there's no way he's smart. Hello? Okay. He's not smart, because if he was smart about finances, he wouldn't have come back as a pauper.
Well, that's true.
So there's no way in heaven's name you should be trusting him with your finances. Hello?
That's a mistake, I think.
Honestly, and
that's a mistake.
Yeah. So if, you see, this whole thing about, enyeshe, famanyame. Yes, we have to give everything to God. I pray about everything, but there's no way I'm inviting a guy like this who doesn't have his head screwed on properly, he doesn't have a vision for us as a family, he doesn't even have a vision to start with. And go with your gut. Something in there is probably God talking to you. You need to listen. You need to be more observant. Something is telling you that this guy is taking advantage of you again. And if he doesn't want to create opportunities for you to dialogue, if I were you, sweetheart, block him. It's simple. Don't talk too much. Don't say, honey bunny, listen, I love you. I have forgiven you. I appreciate your presence in our lives. Even the kids were saying, Mommy, don't bring this guy home.
Exactly.
Like, what's up? But tell him all the nice things and tell him that until we have a solid conversation about our future and about our finances, I am sorry, but I have to do this
For my own sanity.
for my
honestly.
own sanity. Block him off your ATM cards if he has access to it. Block him off it. Take your ATM cards, change your password, change your PIN number. When it comes to the company or wherever your business, tell him that from now on, because he's not being transparent with you, you cannot allow him to go to the workplace. What does he want for himself? What is he bringing to the table? You're holding the fort, and you've been doing that for years now. What is he bringing to the table? And by all means, you need counselors. Now more than ever, you need you need relationship coaches, you need therapy, both of you, especially the guy.
Okay, now let me come to Citi.
I've been waiting for so long.
You have. Patiently waiting your turn, because this man seems to be taking advantage of where he did not
I don't know, but I'm livid. I'm fuming. It's unfair for anybody to go through this to start with. 10 years is a very long time for you to allow somebody to go out of your life and come back in. I'm surprised she even stayed around waiting and working hard for that long. Who was pampering her in the past 10 years when the man was away? Was she not being pampered at all?
Well,
I would have gotten some pampering for myself.
preach it.
Now, first things first, you go away for 10 years and you come back with nothing. Why is she taking him? Why? It's not written anywhere in the Bible. Maybe I can speak for myself. I've not seen that yet, where it stated that when your husband leaves his marital home and responsibilities for 10 years,
When he comes
he's
back,
not
take
just
him back.
left, he abandoned his responsibilities as well
Even the
for 10
kids.
years. Exactly. And you come back, I should take you in as a wife. And for a pastor to, you see, this is the problem with our society in Africa. Nobody tells you the truth, and nobody backs you when the wrong thing is being done to you. And I can tell you this from experience. I was in a very abusive relationship some years back, and I would go to a pastor's office to complain about my partner, and then all they would say is, "Oh, just do the right thing at home. Keep doing your bit and pray that he changes." And now, in hindsight, I'm like, what a foolish thing I was doing to myself. You would go to the police station to report an abusive husband, and what they would tell you is, "Mommy, we are sure say, nipa na osha wo mano, yenchin ntum."
Yeah.
And now in hindsight again, I'm wondering, why would anybody in their right minds go through that? You'd go to your parents and they will tell you, "Oh, enkola ninti, enkola ninti." It is not fair to anybody to allow yourself to go through that. A human being created in the image of God. God has given all of us wisdom, like she said, for us to use it. Bible says, for lack of knowledge, my people perish. So long as you refuse to have knowledge and wisdom for yourself, you will perish under whatever circumstance you find yourself in. Even if the marriage is ordained by God. Somebody leaves you for 10 years, comes back. There's a saying that when your ex leaves and comes back, God has brought him back to test you to see if you still have wisdom or you are still foolish. Ouch. Okay?
Ouch.
Hey, I am appalled by the fact that even pastors in church encouraged her to take this man back. It is not right to start with. Now, going to the business part, why is he in your company?
Well,
Company that you built from your toil and sweat after he left you with 3 kids. It's unacceptable.
Honestly.
And nobody's saying it here, but sometimes we need to tell our fellow sisters, when you are fooling, you are.
yeah.
Sometimes somebody just needs to tell you the hard truth. Tough love. It is not right. You shouldn't go through that as a woman. If you want somebody to pamper you, you will get 1,000,001 men out there who don't even need to be in your space all the time to pamper you.
Come and pamper and go.
Come and pamper
You
you.
define that,
You know?
especially because she's married. But you
Yes,
have
you're
to
a married
define
man,
that.
but you know the
And
funny thing.
in the context of marriage, though, like Mary
You
Rose
can't
said,
do
you
that.
cannot do
Yes,
that
but
because
she should have
technically
divorced
she's
this
married.
man.
Go and ask
She
Mama
should have
Yobo.
divorced
Then
this
you
man
have
a
to-
long time
yes.
ago.
She needs to decide
Everything
what she
that
wants.
was
She has to
warranted
take a
and
decision.
acceptable under the rules legally and even in the biblical sense are all there for you to leave this person. I know that I think 2 years, I'm not sure, but I think if somebody abandons you for 2 years, that's a spousal something.
Abandonment.
Yes, and you can leave the person, you can file for divorce at that time. Why are you still waiting for 10 years? Are you not finding any man? After 10 years, who can take care of you and take care of your children? People have 4 or 5 children and they found other people. This is not right. And we shouldn't sit here and accept that another woman should go through this for the man to even come back to start with. Let alone he even come and join her to work and now have the nerve, the effrontery to argue with her or have the attitude when she complains about the finances. For her to now come, that's the part that worsened the whole thing for me. To now have to be the one to apologize.
When
Why?
he is wrong.
Why? My own money, my own toilets, it won't happen. AJ, it shouldn't happen to any woman.
Mary Rose, quickly.
Yeah, I was going to say, you are talking as if you were not advising her to come in. But the truth of the matter is that she is in it.
But she can leave now.
She is in it, and she wants to find out whether she should leave or not.
Yes, that's why I'm saying
know,
she should
so
leave.
there are two things. There are two things. I think that she has to look at what she can do, checks and balances. I think when I was talking, you said that. What she can do to make sure that her interest is protected, or she leaves.
But I feel
There
like
are
the
two
guy
things.
is
Your
really
interest
taking
has
her
to
for
be
granted
protected
because
from
this is the
day
second
one.
time.
Yeah,
though.
we have-
and he shouldn't be
it
doing
is
that.
the
It's like he doesn't
But-
even respect
but
her enough to want to
exactly,
explain things to
no,
her.
There's
Right.
no evidence in the lady's statement that the guy, she said she has no basis on the way she feels. That's why she's saying whether she is paranoid.
But should you not
So-
neglect your gut feeling?
The inner man speaks to us all the time.
Especially after she has
Refuse to
forgiven
listen.
him.
Sometimes you
Yes,
admit that
but
when
your
men are
inner man-
cheating.
when your inner man is speaking to you, you have to check to make sure that what your inner man is saying is exactly what is happening. Sometimes when you are paranoid, it is not real. You can be paranoid and do things that are not. Then you think that, oh, everybody's looking at me, everybody's talking
Mary
about me.
Rose,
But
honestly,
it might
I
not
don't
be.
think
And
she's
maybe it's-
paranoid.
Yeah,
I don't think
know
she's
so
been
either.
paranoid. I
For
think
somebody that you've
she
disappeared for that long,
she
and for you
has-
to come
she
back
has
and start
gone
leaving
through-
shreds of doubt in the woman's head, you are not
you
even
have
right
no
and
reason
fit
to
to
be
be
there.
there.
I'm
excuse.
bringing out a technical point. She has gone through 10 years of trauma waiting. For all you know, her mental health has been affected. Let's talk about the reality. It's not just, oh, just run away and leave or somebody.
In the beginning, she stated that he had become a spendthrift.
Yes.
So before he became a spendthrift, spending her money, then she now feels that he's moved that spending habit into the business.
Thank you.
Where
Because
he's
he
now
went out to
siphoning
spend money and
business.
did not bring anything.
Exactly. And if she had a
why is
mental
she?
block, right?
Yeah.
You know what it takes to forgive a man and to have him back on your marriage bed
And then
and
your
sleep
business.
with him and give yourself back to him emotionally. She was able to do all that. So I don't think
That
she's
is-
paranoid. She's a
that is-
smart
that is
woman.
why-
Maybe-
I am
There's
thinking
a-
it could even be an issue with inferiority complex, because a lot of times when somebody leaves you like that and they come back, there's a sense of vulnerability in you that just craves to take them back regardless. you
No,
don't
it
think
is
about
what usually happens when people break up or when people divorce. The
Yeah,
whole
10 years is a long time.
It's so traumatizing for them, for most of them, to get back onto the dating scene.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have to go through so much work to find another person. They now have to be vulnerable to that person. They now have to expose themselves to that person. But their husband has seen them. She has 3 kids.
Yeah.
Her body no longer looks the way it is. So intimately, she will feel most comfortable with her husband.
Could it also be like a sense of victory there? Because you would think that after 10 years, even she couldn't, it's mine. Like, I'm happy he's come back to me.
Come back
I'm the
to me.
ultimate winner in the end.
Sometimes some people
You
people
feel like
feel
I'm
that
the
way.
ultimate winner.
He's going to
That
spend his
no
next
matter
years with
what,
someone
he came
else.
back
He came back to me.
You get.
Yes.
Yeah, but she needed
yes,
to be
there's also that
convinced,
kind of
and that
feeling.
convincing
question is-
came from church.
But the question is, what happened in those 10 years that he's now back? Maybe the person left him because he's now broke.
Likely
So
she
you've
left
not
him
really
after
won.
taking everything.
You've just taken back somebody who has nowhere else to go.
But
Honestly.
in reality, I can tell you, I know of somebody who, this is not even a man leaving, a woman leaving and coming back after 20-something years. And she was still accepted. So in human settings, yes, people do all sorts of things, either by influence or by their own decisions or whatever. But it's not like a hard and fast rule that it is, life is not black and white. We have gray areas, and the gray area is always bigger than the black and white. And the gray areas are the places where we take a lot of decisions. So many things might have advised her decision to take the man back. Maybe not necessarily just the pampering, but because she wants her children to have a father. Just that consideration. She wants her children to be healthy and balanced. So she would sacrifice that. It is not by anybody cajoling her.
The children didn't want him back.
Exactly.
No. The children didn't want him back.
Yes,
And you know,
sometimes the children, they don't know. Because they are young. The children, they are young.
Sometimes children can see what the parents can see.
And what their mother went through crying every night.
To get your children in that that environment, you are teaching your children something, that it's okay for somebody to treat you like this and for them to take them back.
You can
I
also
would
teach
never
your children how to forgive, because it's about
Look,
forgive. Here,
even in the
the
Bible,
last time we
even in the
did
Bible,
Agreed.
even in the Bible,
forgive, and
there-
when you do forgiveness, you forgive for yourself, not the person you are
That's
forgiving.
a good point.
You can't be
Forgive
without.
without bringing him
Thank
back
you.
to his faith.
Thank you.
I think that the problem here right now is finances.
It's
It's
not just
finances.
It's more
It's
than
not just
finances,
that.
Mary
She
Rose.
didn't-
Honestly,
no,
I think
listen.
that is more than finances.
She
you know
didn't.
you could forgive.
Can you
There are
let me
consequences
land?
for all actions.
Let me land.
actions.
Let me land. She did not talk about mistrust, about him going with another woman or something. But she thinks that he's pilfering her money.
But
that is her
where?
major thing.
And a bid
for
to
me,
leave again is
Thank
now
you.
her suspicion.
yes.
Yes.
So he's taking the money so that he can leave again.
Exactly.
That's what that's her fear. It's a fear that she's entertaining. That's why I keep saying that she has to ascertain. I'm a businesswoman. Before I'll give my business to somebody to handle, I have to put certain things in place. You can decide to take your husband as a worker in your business. He doesn't necessarily have to manage it.
But
So
you should go find another job.
she decided to let him manage it for whatever reason,
Now, if I may
which we
ask
don't
a
know.
question,
Yes.
do you think, in your opinion, was it right for her to have taken him back?
I'll say yes and no, depending on whatever feeling
No,
or
choose
whatever.
one. You are sitting on the fence.
if you had to pick one with a gun pointed to your head,
The fact that she did not, that's why I started with it, the fact that she did not break within the 10 years, she sat there and waited and did not go to court to annul that marriage. Why not? Why not? But once you've waited and he's come back and you've been able to entertain him, you can go
then
ahead.
I'll come to you, Citi.
Yeah.
Do you think she should have taken him back?
No.
Do you
She
think
shouldn't
she
have.
should kick him out?
Yes, she should. She
Why?
should. Even as at now that she's taking him into the company and all that, she should fire him and get him out of the house.
I love it.
You see, there are consequences for actions on earth, no matter how you look at it. Even in the Christendom, there are consequences to actions, even in the Bible. And we seem to have, when was it Jonah who decided not to go
Yes,
to
and he
where
was
Jesus,
swallowed
and he
for
was
3
swallowed.
days, yeah.
There is consequences for every action. If you go and sleep with someone, you will get pregnant and you will have a child.
Not a TV set.
You know, that is just how things are set up in life. So you cannot expect that you do something like this to someone and then you should just be welcome. Even your kids are upset. That should tell you that you are doing something that is just not right normally.
Your kids can be upset even when your husband is being good to you in a marriage.
That's me, my
So
opinion.
you know how I think,
And I'm sticking to that till my grave.
Finally, I just want to say that, okay, thank you to this woman. For her own sanity, she decided to forgive him. But that's the thing. The person that you're forgiving, how sorry are they enough so that your forgiveness doesn't end
How
up
remorseful
being
are they?
remorseful are they, so that your forgiveness doesn't end up
It's
being
total,
a waste of
waste
time.
of time.
Because if he really is remorseful, he will be apologetic, he would do everything that he needs just to make this woman happy
He'll be
and
the
not
last
have
person to ever
fights
be
with
angry
her
with
about
you.
his own their own
But
finances.
why is she even apologizing to the
Exactly.
guy? Those are the things. That's why I say that the woman, you know, sometimes people have their own problems and then they get into marriages. This lady, you can see, has her own problem.
Yeah.
You are on top of the issues. Like you said, the guy should be kissing her, the
Thank
grounds
you.
that she walks on. But this is the same woman who is now begging.
Yeah.
Does she suffer from some inferiority complex? Does she have
My
personality disorder?
sentiment, exactly.
You know, that's what I'm saying, that maybe she has some mental issues. Sometimes we see things, you know, but
All
a lot of
rosy, but
people,
they're
yes, a lot of people are walking around and their mental up there is not correct. So many things are going on. So maybe she has some mental challenges that she has to look out for.
Olivia, do you think she should leave him?
Do
to
I
deal
think she
with.
should leave him? No, I think she needs to stand up for herself, and I think she
Yes,
needs to.
that's
She
what she
needs a
has to do.
counselor. She needs to rewire what she wants for herself. She needs to know that she deserves to be happy. She needs to know that it's okay if her husband rejects her, because she's constantly accepting trash,
Yeah.
and it would never stop if
Yeah.
she doesn't stand
Yeah.
up. She needs to stand
Yeah.
up.
And
Yeah,
then another
exactly.
thing, I think
We
her
have to-
church.
in conclusion, in five
Yes, her
seconds.
church is simply wrong for even people in the church to call her the woman that her husband left her. This is not a church you should be going to.
I love it,
Yeah.
because why
Yeah.
am I being blamed
Yes.
for someone
Yeah.
else's sins?
And the person comes back and you're the same church telling her to go back to this person.
I'm more fire.
What is wrong?
I'm on fire, Ticho. Ticho is on fire, and your comments as well are. So on social media, a few of you have been sending your thoughts. Ofako Bethel Susan says, you shouldn't have accepted him back in the first place. What if the reverse was the case? Would he have accepted you back? Like the saying, when you accept an enemy back in your life, you just give more bullets to finish the job they started. Tell him to use those new ideas he claims he's trying to use to start
His own
to start
business.
up his own business. Trust me, he came to steal enough money from you and go back to his
get a
mistress.
better woman, yeah.
Marianne Adu Enu says, get rid of him. Your instincts are right. Let him find work somewhere else and be responsible.
Okay,
Pearl
really.
Ahiliji says, drop that yam, madam. And father, you shouldn't have accepted him back, sir. Focus on your kids and take care of yourself. Louisa Marfo says, what kind of miracle is this? A miracle that will not improve your life, but rather ruin your life? What a miracle. Ivy Barbara Ekuban says, it seems you enjoy suffering. Continue. Sharon Priscilla Delali says, get rid of him as soon as possible. He will end up taking everything from you. Fusaini Zakai says, he's planning the worst for you. Imoro King Faisal says, get rid of him. He's there to destroy. Derek Leo Mensa says, cut him off completely. This is a waste of time, energy, and resources. God is showing you direction by talking through you. As you said, you feel it in your spirit. He's back to cause more damage and losses in your heart-earned work. Listen to your inner voice and stop following your pastor, friends, and family who don't give a damn about what you are doing. I'm a firm believer of God and a Christian, but I do believe in prayers, but sometimes we have to apply wisdom and knowledge that God gave us. Hashtag Shalom. And finally, Senam Aheto says, why don't you let him go and find a job outside of yours? He can end up ruining you completely.
That's it.
If things had gone well with him and his mistress, do you think he would have come back to you? Very interesting thoughts there. Keep yours coming in, of course. Use the hashtag sister. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going into our second story, but of course, keep the conversation going online.